You know that feeling when you just want to hit the pause button on life, to just step away from all the noise and the pressure? Well, that powerful urge to avoid the hard stuff has a name: escapism. And in this explainer, we are going to dive deep into what it is, why we all do it, and most importantly, how to finally stop running. So let's just start right there with a really direct question. Seriously, take a second and think about it. Why do you run? What is it? The stress, the responsibilities, maybe certain feelings that you're trying to keep at a distance? Because figuring that out, well, that's the first step to everything.
All right, so what are we even talking about when we use this word escapism? Let's break down the actual concept. At its core, escapism is really just the act of choosing distraction over reality. It's when we deliberately find something, a movie, a game, anything, to fill our heads so we don't have to deal with what's actually going on. Think of it like taking a mental detour to avoid a rough patch in the road.
Now, this is a super important point. Escapism by itself is not some clinical mental disorder. It's just a behavior, right? A coping mechanism. But, and this is a really big but, if it's left unchecked, if it becomes the only way you deal with life, it can absolutely open the door to some very real, very serious disorders.
And what's fascinating is the history here. The term escapism didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It really took off during the Great Depression back in the 1930s. I mean, think about it. The stock market had just crashed. Life was incredibly difficult for millions of people. Reality was bleak. So, of course, people were desperate for an escape, and they found it in movies and radio shows. The word didn't just describe a personal habit, it really captured the feeling of an entire generation.
And that brings us to a really key idea. Not all escape routes are the same. That impulse to just step away for a little while, it can lead us down two totally different paths.
In fact, taking a quick break from reality can actually be a good thing. I mean, get this, even Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, he believed that these little fantasies are a necessary part of being human. They give our minds a chance to breathe, to recharge, before jumping back into the fray. And this slide just lays out those two paths perfectly. On one side, you've got the positive stuff, channeling that need to escape into things like exercise, losing yourself in a good book, or playing a sport. These things actually build you up. But on the other side, well, that's where you find the paths that tear you down. The negative forms that can get destructive fast, like out-of-control gaming, substance abuse, and other habits that just pull you under. And as you can see, the ways to escape are literally everywhere. They range from something totally healthy like exercise to things that are incredibly dangerous. Come on, we've all binged a TV show or mindlessly scrolled social media to avoid doing something else, right? So the real issue isn't the activity itself. It's our relationship to it. It's why we're doing it. And that relationship, that's where things can get dicey. Because what starts out as a temporary getaway can turn into a permanent trap, a dangerous comfort bubble that slowly seals us off from our own lives. So why are some of these paths so much slipperier than others? Well, it all comes down to brain chemistry, really. Things like heavy gaming, drinking, or using drugs, they flood your brain with dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical. It creates this powerful reward loop. The escape feels so good that your brain starts to crave it, to demand more of it. And that, right there, is how a habit spirals into an addiction. You can see exactly how that spiral works, step by step. It starts so simply. You're just avoiding something tough. So you pick up a habit that gives you that quick dopamine hit. Before you know it, that habit isn't just a habit anymore, it's an addiction. That's when you build the comfort bubble around yourself, a place where you can justify your actions, ignore your real problems, and eventually just become completely disconnected from the life you're supposed to be living. And the consequences of living inside that bubble, they can be devastating. At first, you're just making excuses for your habits, but deep down you know you're running, and that knowledge creates this constant, humming anxiety. And over time, that constant avoidance, plus the growing weight of all your unsolved problems, that can lead straight to clinical depression. These are those serious mental health disorders we were talking about earlier. So, what's the way out? If you can't just keep running forever, what's the alternative? Well, you stop, you turn around, and you confront the very thing you've been running from. And look, I'm not just saying this from a theoretical place. I know exactly what it feels like to run, because for a long, long time, I was running too. This part of the explainer is, it's pretty personal. When I finally got tired enough of running to stop and asked myself what I was actually running from, the answer was it was brutal. It wasn't just some problem at work or a difficult situation. I was running from my own mistakes, from my responsibilities, and really, at the end of the day, I was running from myself. And maybe, just maybe, you recognize that feeling too. And here's the crazy irony of running away. The problems you're trying to escape, they don't just vanish. They follow you. And the longer you run, the heavier that burden on your back gets, until it starts to feel completely and utterly impossible to carry. So how do you actually stop? It's not about some perfect 10-step plan. It just starts with finding a tiny shred of courage. Just enough to stand still and face life head on. It means you let yourself feel everything, get angry, fight back, cry if you need to, do whatever it takes, but just don't run. Because what you might find is that the fear of the problem was always way, way bigger than the problem itself. Because no matter what, there's one truth you can never escape. This life, with all of its mess and its challenges and its incredible beauty, it's yours. And you're the only one who can live it. So, I'll just leave you with this question. Running is a choice, every single day. But so is standing your ground. So is embracing your life exactly as it is, flaws and all. The question is, what will you choose to do today?